Here to help us kind of break down how this debate will impact voters tonight is Scripps News' Joe St. George.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Great to have you here.
Yeah, great to see you. Can I shake your hand?
Yes. My sweaty hand,
Political expert of Wisconsin. You guys are lucky to have me.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. As you know, Joe, we are 5 months away from the first caucus in Iowa, where it will likely be 110 degrees colder, because it could be 0 in Iowa in January.
Is brutal.
Yeah.
So what does tonight's debate mean for these candidates?
Look, here's the reality. Mr. Trump is up by 40 percentage points if you look at Real Clear Politics. And there's not a whole lot of big made-for-TV events that are really set to happen between now and January 15th. Because if you're down 40 points, and you have an opportunity to be in front of millions of people tonight, potentially undecided Republican voters in places like Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, the early primary states that really matter, you have to take advantage tonight. You've been talking throughout your broadcast about maybe generating a moment, generating a viral moment. You have to, because guess who's going to be front and center come tomorrow afternoon, probably leading this newscast come tomorrow afternoon, and that is former President Trump, who will be turning himself into a Fulton County jailhouse sometime early tomorrow afternoon.
All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. He's not here. Donald Trump is not here. He said, I'm going to skip it because you mentioned the double digits that he has in the polls. However, why do you think he decided to skip it and then release an online interview pretty much around the same time as the debate?
Charles, I'm talking to a lot of the same kind of people you are, and the thing that keeps coming up is he had more to lose by showing up here in Milwaukee than he necessarily had to gain. Think about it. His supporters stood by him through 4 indictments thus far. Not showing up to Milwaukee respectfully is not going to upset and alienate his supporters, his base. So release an ad, make a dig at Fox News at the same time. Remember, who is he speaking with? He's speaking with someone who was just fired from Fox News. Former President Trump has a bit of a rivalry with Fox ever since Fox projected Arizona correctly on election night, much to his frustration.
It's interesting you say the strategy is, or that he had more to lose potentially by being here, because his strategy is always, I can win over the room. But let me ask you about, he is the front runner, though, and the others need to gain or at least position themselves as number 2 or number 3. Governor DeSantis is there right now. So what do you expect to hear from around the table with the other candidates?
Well, you're going to hear some attacking. Probably the most forceful, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. I think he'll be really on the attack against the former president. But I would challenge the contention perhaps of your question, Charles, in one regard. We don't know the motives of all these candidates. Are some of these candidates perhaps trying out to be vice president? Are they trying out to be a cabinet position in a hypothetical Trump administration? How aggressive is Senator Tim Scott going to be? When you speak to folks in Washington, they say, boy, Senator Tim Scott may be a good vice presidential pick potentially. So is Senator Scott going to go on the aggressive tonight with former President Trump? Potentially. There's always the possibility of that. So I do think it will be interesting. As you said, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, center stage, alongside Vivek Ramaswamy, a relative political newcomer. From what I'm hearing, Ramaswamy may get a lot of attacks this evening. He's never been in a setting like this remotely before. He's polling 7% in the polls, and that 7% is something that Nikki Haley would certainly want, or former Vice President Mike Pence would certainly want.
And he's calling himself Trump 2.0. So it'll be interesting to see how he relates to all the viewers tonight. But getting back to Trump, he's got 4 indictments. What do you think, or will this have any implication on his campaign?
Well, we look at the polls. They haven't impacted these debates. These indictments have not impacted former President Trump at all. In fact, it's very unique, the timing in which he's turning himself in Georgia. He could have done this yesterday. He could have done this last week. He decided to do it after the debate, guaranteeing that he is going to be a major political story tomorrow afternoon, a very unique political strategy. And that's because he's looking at the same numbers we are, and that every time he gets indicted and every time he gets arraigned, he sees in some polls a bump in support. And I don't expect that to change one bit. The question is, can anyone, after tonight's debate, establish themselves as the Trump alternative as we get closer and closer to the calendar flipping to 2024?
Right, and because Governor DeSantis thinks he's got that right now. So does he move up or down based on tonight's performance? A lot on the line for him as well. Thanks for being here.
Hey, great to be here. Make it cooler next time.